Welcome to Arm Solutions. Today we're looking at what I think the best pistol caliber carbine, or SMG, whatever you want to call it, is. Now we're looking at 4 different generations. Now when you start looking at numbers, we'll say all are pretty comparable in size, all pretty comparable in weight. There's not really much of a difference in size, but we're looking at different generations of firearms. We're looking at technology that goes back to World War II to what we're going up to as modern day. We have 2 of the 4 which are lock breeches, 2 which are direct blowback. But we're looking at guns that are designed over a specific time period where there's an evolution. And some of the older models, or the oldest model, has a lot of nostalgia behind it. It's got a lot of time behind it. It's got a lot of service behind it. And there's a lot of people who will say, well, you just can't beat tried and true. Well, unfortunately, things do evolve. And we do go to better. And we have gone from better to better to better to better. So we're going to jump right into this. The 4 guns that we're looking at the SIG MPX, the Cz Scorpion, Colt 9mm carbine. This is actually a Colt type. This is not actually a Colt. This is a much more modernized and updated version. And the HK MP5. So we're going to start off with the HK MP5. Now the MP5 has been around for quite some time. This is World War II technology. Basically you're looking at the G3 or the Setme. You're looking at a roller delayed system. Now this is a lock breech. This is a roller delayed breech system. So you do have locking, which does decrease recoil, does allow you to use a little bit higher pressure ammunition. So we have this thing disassembled. Let's take a look at what this thing is. We have here is rolled sheet metal. We do have the German barrel, which is the polygon type barrel, and it is cold hammer forged with a French obtainium steel. Now we're using a delayed roller locking system. So basically what we have here is an unlocked and a locked, where we have 2 rollers that lock the breech into place. Now, unfortunately, with this, depending on the type of ammunition you have, it's suppressed or unsuppressed, you have to deal with the timing, and that timing is taken care of by the yoke, which the firing pin sits in, which is basically conical shaped. That's what determines the time that the bolt unlocks and locks. So that can be a little bit difficult. Now this is also a very dirty system. People say that the M16 is dirty, but the roller delay blowbacks are also very, very dirty. Does it work very well? Yes, it does. You have a pistol grip module here where you have safe and semi. This is of course safe and semi, but the military safe semi auto burst. So you would have generally 3. You have different versions you can get. Magazine. This is probably one of the best magazines that's out there. It's durable, reliable, double column, double feed, very easy to load. But cost. Well, you're looking at over $3,000 for one of these. This has had a very long service life. It's been used for many, many, many years. Used all over the world. And in fact, at the time that submachine guns were being heavily used in the United States, every SWAT team that you would see within the U.S. would be having this gun. However, the time of submachine gun in this country is past, where you're seeing now the M4s, which have replaced it for many, many reasons. So, what do we think of this one? Well, this happens to be number 4. Now, of course, back in the day, it was an excellent SMG. But let's talk about what I don't like about this. The human engineering on this is very, very poor. What I mean by human engineering is the way that you would manipulate it. You have a very large, unnatural type safety. This is a little bit more improved over the original ones. You have a absolute brutal trigger. This trigger is terrible. It's very, very spongy. It's very, very long. And now, as far as the loading procedure, basically you would have an empty gun. You would lock the bolt back to the rear, insert your magazine, do your HK slap, and now it's loaded. So bang, 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 click. There's no lock open in the last shot, so you don't know when it's going to go click. So then when it goes click, you have to drop the magazine out, lock it back to the rear, do the same thing. So you literally have to remove your hand to do everything with this. It's relatively back in its time, perhaps it was decent, but compared to what we have out today, this is a very slow gun to manipulate. Also, it lacks the 1913 rails on the top. 19 rails on the side, of course. You can go out and you can buy different parts now, so you can make this thing have rails and whatnot. However, it's not natural. the way that it is. HK, these ones brought by HK, you're looking at close to $3,000 for one of these. For as far as why it's $3,000, I really couldn't tell you. You're looking at rolled sheet metal. You're looking at polymer. It's an extremely expensive gun, and I think by today's standards, this one is quite antiquated. I think it's got a lot of nostalgia from the TV, from the movies, and all that kind of stuff. From Die Hard, like Die Hard, of course, you gotta love your MP5s. But for as far as use today, I think it's obsolete. And HK, for the most part, doesn't really make a lot of these any longer. They even realized at one point that this was outdated. They went to the UMP, which is a much more modernized version that had a lot of the M16 type features. So number 4 is this one. So we're going to go to the range, and we're going to fire this one both suppressed and unsuppressed. Coming at number 3 would be the Colt-Pattern. Again, I say Colt-Pattern because this is a much more modernized. It has a quarter circle 10 lower receiver, which is specifically dedicated to the 9mm. Now, this one here I felt was a much better gun than the MP5 because of its human engineering. This has all M16 human engineering. You fire your last shot, the bolt will lock open, drop your magazine, insert your new magazine, hit your bolt catch at the side, you're ready to go back into action. You have a beautiful trigger on here. This is a standard M16 type trigger. This one has a safety that's easy to manipulate with both right or left-handed. Magazines do drop free. The magazine's a modified Uzi magazine, which is also double stack. This one here, 100% reliability on locking open on the last shots, but where does this one go bad? The problem with this magazine is it's very difficult to load by hand. So when you start getting halfway into it, your fingers are going to hurt. You basically have to have an up lula to load it. So we also have a 1913 rail on here going all the way across. This is a quad. This particular is a Centurion rail, which we do have a code for. We have a DI optical sight on here, and I have the backup sight. So if this was to go, if the sight was to go bad, or you were to lose your battery life, you'd be able to click up, and you'll be able to have your iron sights, which is excellent. You have an M16 ambi type charging handle on here. M16 type stock. So the way this is set up, you could take any feature that you have for an M16 M4, any rail, any pistol grip, any stock, any of the updated features, and you have it. So basically anything you can do with an M4, you can do with the Colt 9mm pattern submachine gun. Now this is a direct blowback system. So basically you have the weight of the bolt and the weight of the recoil spring and the heft of the buffer is what keeps this closed. Extremely high cyclic rate. You're probably looking at over 1,100 rounds a minute, especially with high pressure ammunition. This is a very easily suppressible gun. I happen to have a Smith Enterprises Vortex on here now. We removed this, and you can pop on any kind of a sound suppressor. You do get some of the blowback with it because you do have some of the openings in here. This is an extremely accurate gun. However, it's very, very heavy. The Colt patterns were never actually completed. The Colt patterns were basically designed to take a standard M4, M16 type rifle, put in a magazine well insert, put it in, use as many standard parts as you could. Well, this is not what we did with this one. We have some modifications we've done to this one. We have the stainless steel pins. Due to the higher cyclic rates, you do have issues that happen with this. There's special buffers that you do have with it. But I want to put this at number 3 just because of the fact that it is heavy. It's cumbersome. Recoil. Recoil in here is relatively heavy for any 9mm that you're going to fire because you do have this massive heavy bolt and you do have a massive heavy buffer. So you do get some of that. You do get some trigger slap on here just due to the fact that you have such a higher cyclic rate where it's knocking the hammer back and it's slapping it into the disconnector where that's giving you a little bit of a sting on your finger. However, these are plentiful. They're very, very available in many different versions. You can get the same type of rifle with Glock magazines, with several different kinds of magazines. So there are a lot of features that you can do with this. So it is very modular. It's very common today. But in the overall scheme of things, I'm going to go with number 3. So we're going to take this one in the range, and we're going to see how this one shoots, both suppressed and unsuppressed. Coming in at number 2, we have the Cz Scorpion Evo 3 S1. Now this here is a completely modernized SMG. This happens to be a PCC. This is semi-automatic only. These are all SBRs. And what's nice about this is it has a lot of HK into it. However, it has some of the most important things has been changed. So first off, we have a bolt catch on here. When this one runs dry, you drop your magazine, insert your new magazine, get your bolt catch, you're ready to go. You do have on the left-hand side, as you'll see, an HK-style handle. Now, a little bit of an issue I do have with this is because when you have it in this position, it's locked open. If you were to hit the bolt catch, nothing's going to happen. You drop it down, now you're able to gauge the bolt catch and it's able to load. Personally, I would get rid of this notch here. I think it serves no purpose. I think it's counterproductive having the two. And this is the major benefit over the MP5. You do have a very similar type MP5 types safety. This is a little bit easier to manipulate. Some people have a complaint about this hitting their finger. The way I hold my trigger finger, it doesn't really affect me too much. This is all polymer, all lightweight. Now, like the other ones, you do have backup iron sights. And the type of optic I chose on this one is the USO optic, where I have a red dot optic on top. And if I look through the iron sights, I can immediately co-witness. So if my battery goes out, I have the ability to use my iron sights on this one as well. This is all polymer, where you have a clamshell. The stock, we have a side folding as well as telescopic. So this will adjust to wearing body armor. The grip is comfortable. Magazines. You have a polymer magazine, inexpensive. It's double column. As you can see, we have double feet here. Very easy to load. These are very, very plentiful. You even go up to 40 rounds with the ETS magazines. Easy ambidextrous magazine release. 1913 rails, straight across. At 3, 6, and 9 o'clock, you happen to have the Manta covers on here. We do have a code for Manta. It's a new code, BAR20. You can get 20% off of everything on their site. It does come with a flash suppressor, which I have removed, and I put the collar on here, so they enable me to put on a sound suppressor. I mostly shoot this gun suppressed, so that's why you don't see any flash hider on here. I just try to do a direct thread mount with my Sound Circle Octane 9H. So looking at the left-hand side, as we said, we have the manual bolt release. You do want to make sure with a small barrel you have a hand stop on here, because you don't want your hands to get in front of that muzzle. So I would say this would be number 2 in my choice. I can't say anything really bad about it. Reliability is 100% at stellar. It does have a massive bolt on it for as far as reliability. Even though you have a direct blowback, this does not give you the amount of recoil that the Colt does. It doesn't really even give you the torque. The Colt will give you a little bit more of a torque to the right-hand side too. This one doesn't seem to do that as much. But it's extremely lightweight. And when you look at the overall scheme of everything that we're going to be looking at, this is the lightest, the shortest, the least expensive. But I would definitely give this number 2. So we're going to take this one to the range, and we're going to see how this one shoots suppressed and unsuppressed. So, now we're led to number 1. This is a SIG MPX. This, in my opinion, is the best 9mm submachine gun, PCC, whatever you want to call it, available in the market today. This is a very advanced model. It takes the best features of the M16 and it gives you a new operating system for a 9mm. This is a gas-operated 9mm SMG. So you have a piston in the front, operates your bolt. You have a manual bolt release. You have an ambi magazine release on both sides. So you have bolt catch safety. It's fully ambidextrous. Uses an M16 T-type charging handle. And this happens to be a Midwest Industries rail on here where you have full quad 1913, or you have full rails. You have top 1913. You have M-lock slots on here so you can put whatever you want. I happen to have an Enforce light on here. This is actually my go-to 9mm. Magazines are proprietary, but they're Lancer. They're an incredibly durable and reliable magazine. You have all the feel of an M16. You have your manual, you have your right side bolt release. We have an MP5 style telescopic stock. And when we open this up, we can take a look at the system. Pull the bolt back to the rear. And you can see we have a locking system, a rotating bolt. And you can see that it's piston operated. You can see the impact area in the front. And this one here is designed to use with modern ammunition. We fired several different kinds of hollow points out of this, and we have no issues. It does feed very well most hollow points that are on the market today. Now, the charging handle is proprietary to the system. It's not compatible with the M16. However, you do have a compatible pistol grip. You do have options to put different types of stocks on here. You can get a side folder. You can get this one here. If you buy this as a pistol, you can get braces for it. Receivers are aircraft aluminum. And the trigger is beautiful. It's an M16 type trigger. And they've done some modifications on here to prevent the trigger slap due to the fact that the hammer does not hit the back of the trigger. Ejection port does cover. For as far as the features, I believe this is the most advanced in the market. You also have backup sights on here. This is a SIG Romeo 4S optic, but if that optic was to go bad, you'd be able to see through and utilize your iron sights. But I think this is more of a pinnacle of technology what you have right now. Many people said they don't like having a gas-operated system. Well, this gas-operated system will work in every environment. It's been adopted by several militaries, and there are other countries where 9mm SMGs are still viable for police use. It just seems to be the United States where we've gotten away from that. I've been all over this world. Been over 30 countries, and especially Middle East. You'll see a lot of 9mm submachine guns in use. In South America, you'll see it. In the Caribbean, you'll see it. It's still a very viable weapon in other countries. They haven't really gotten through the fact that these actually overpenetrate more so than even 5.56s do in urban environments. But you give the customers what they want. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go to the range and we're going to see how this one shoots. We're going to fire this one both suppressed and unsuppressed as well. So there again. Now this is of course my opinion. I'm sure you'll find many people out there who disagree. I have extensive trigger time on all of these, and particularly the MPX, which I've had for quite some time. This is an SBR. In fact, all these are SBRs, but the MP5. The MP5 is the SP5 HK. It's actually a pistol. All these guns accurate. They're all reliable. Some have better features than others, but you do have an evolution. Even if you look at all three of these, the MP5, again, in its day, in the 1970s and 80s, this was an excellent firearm. However, as time has evolved, you have better human engineering. By having that better human engineering enables you to manipulate the gun much quicker, to be able to reload much quicker. Magazines have evolved. The MP5 always had a good magazine. In fact, Quarter Circle 10, who makes the who makes this lower receiver for this one. You can even get a lower receiver that will take an MP5 magazine from Circle 10. So you can have this in many different types of platforms. CMG has a radial delayed blowback, which is very similar in operation to probably more so the HK, but it doesn't use roller lock. It uses a standard AR-15 style bolt, and it utilizes a spring to overcome that pressure. So you have a locking system also. Locking system is a good idea. It enables you to fire safely. You avoid having to fire out a battery. But all of these things have some unique aspects to them, but you also have to look at evolution. If we look at the Model T Ford and look at what we have today, yeah, they all have 4 wheels, like these all fire bullets. But you have better systems, more reliable systems. The cars get better, guns get better. You have better handling of the cars. You have better handling and better operating characteristics of the gun. Polymers do make the things a lot lighter. If you look at the MPX, you're looking at 6.5 pounds because you do have a little bit more aluminum on here than you do some of the other ones. The lightest one that we have here is the Scorpion, coming in at 5 pounds. So because you're using mostly polymer on here, of course, when you're carrying it, that 5 pounds makes a lot of a difference for as far as what you got to carry. You're looking at 6.3 pounds for the Colt-Pattern, and you're looking at 6 pounds for the MP5. So for as far as the weight is concerned, these are all very, very similar. The Scorpion, however, gives you the lightest. It gives you the lowest cost. The MPX is going to run you around $16.99, so it is definitely the most expensive. There's a lot more machining goes into it, so it is a relatively expensive a 9mm, but you do get what you pay for. The Scorpion, you're looking at $900, so you're looking at definitely less than this one, but you're still getting a very excellent, lightweight, modern SMG. I think this one's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future. This is becoming very, very popular. It does see military service with the Czech Republic. Now, the Colt-Pattern guns will get you around $1,200 for the most part, depending on what you want to do with it. You can certainly go up there in cost, but you can generally around $1,100 for these. And you can configure them the same way you can any M16 or any M4. About $2,800 for this. So you figure for $2,800, you have no way of mounting optics. You don't have any way of mounting any extra features on here. You're going to have to go put an additional probably $1,000 in rails and stocks and everything to get this thing to do somewhat what these will do. You still lose a lot of your time for as far as the way you got to manipulate to reload. Now, 3 of the 4 lock back on the last shot. To me, that's a very, very important feature, because once you get used to these firearms, you'll be able to feel when it's empty. You're not going to be pulling the trigger. You'll be able to feel it lock back. These all have drop-free magazines, so you don't have to pull the magazine out, insert, and all 3 of these will have some form of a bolt catch where you'll be able to engage really, really quickly, where you're missing at least 2 steps. With here, you basically drop magazine, hit your bolt catch, you're ready to go. 2 steps. With this one, drop the magazine, lock the bolt back, insert your magazine, hit your catch, 4 steps. So you're looking at 2 steps that are immediately replaced with these 3 rifles for as far as just your reloading as well. For as far as accuracy is concerned, these 3 are very easy to manipulate with different kinds of sights. All have easy to use iron sights that'll flip out of the way. All have easy mounting for optics. This one here, not so much. So your wallet makes a big difference. Your nostalgia aspect of this makes a lot of difference. But overall, when you look at what the technology has to offer, my opinion is it certainly would be the MPX. But I tell you what, I have no problem with the Scorpion. Either one of these, I would be extremely happy with. Even the Colt, I'd be happy with. MP5, not so much. The Colt-Pattern does have a couple issues that it will have. You have to replace your hammer pins a little bit more frequently. You do get a little bit more recoil. In fact, I think the Colt is probably the most recoil out of all of these. But again, all of them are similar weight. But always it comes down to preference. You can't argue with mechanics. You can't argue which one has the most mechanical features. As far as reliability, all of them are proven to be reliable. So it comes down to personal preference. So I do hope you did enjoy this video. Again, it's my opinion. Everybody's free to have what they want. That's why we have all these different options. But yeah, for me, SIG MPX. I hope you all enjoy this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.